Good evening. We're going to go ahead and get started with our first of two meetings tonight. I believe they're about an hour and 15 each. We appreciate you guys RSVPing and to register for tonight because of obviously COVID and mask regulations. Tonight's going to be a little bit more hands-on than our first meeting in August. So at some point, Bob will end up directing some traffic and we'll kind of have some roundtable discussions in each of the locations. That was one reason to have two separate meetings so we can get more participation. In addition, I believe there's some opportunity for people viewing online to participate through the website. But I'm going to turn it over to Bob, and this is again our second meeting of Envision Diamondhead 2040, creating a new comprehensive plan for the city. So appreciate y'all being here. We definitely want to get community input.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And it's good to see everyone. So the last time we were here was the very beginning of August. And I watched the live stream after we were here and had the input session. And there's several comments that they couldn't hear. I wasn't holding the mic close, so I'm going to try to hold the mic right up to my mouth so folks can hear well. We are really happy to be back in Diamondhead. You have a unique community, and it's one that we have appreciated getting to know. Can you imagine going into a place and having about 2 months, 3 months time to really get to know a community as deeply as possible? It's been a fun process for us, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. This is what we call a Futures Forum session. Those of you that participated last time, it was very general and very high level. And we want to get a little more specific on some aspects of Diamondhead's future with you tonight, and we're going to ask you to do that in a safe way in a few minutes around the tables with some of my team. So to remind you of who we are, I'm a partner with Orion Planning Design. We do city planning work all over the country, and we're very glad to be in Diamondhead. As I've already said, Allison Malk is one of our partners over there. Some of you may be talking to her. Carol Ray is back here as one of our partners. Oliver Seabolt is over there as a designer, one of our partners, and Ron Slade is one of our partners back over here. So you'll get to see them. And we have two other groups assisting us on our team. Mode Transportation, Bert Kirkendall is right there in the handsome teal mask on his face. And then there's Aaron Arnett with Arnett Muldrow. He's our economist in the surgical-looking mask over there. So that's who we are. Now, this is what I want to do. Our purpose is to get you to the table and engage in several key conversations about the future of Diamondhead. But I want to spend about 15 minutes just reminding you of some of the big context aspects of Diamondhead, and then kind of lead you to how it is we got to where we are tonight, and also tell you where we are in the process. That's more of our introductory stuff. I'm not going to go through that. You can look online and find us. This is what we're doing. I'm doing the introduction now. Then we're going to do a stand-up session of 20 minutes, a second stand-up session of 20 minutes, and we're going to report out. And our purpose is to generate substantive conversation about key points in Diamondhead that are vital to this community's future. So that's where we're headed. I've already discussed our approach in an earlier meeting. I do want to say this is the process that we are going through. And by the way, thank you for spending your time and coming to a meeting. Meetings aren't always the most fun things to be at. But this is a process, and its effectiveness depends upon the civic engagement of the people of Diamondhead. So I'm thanking you for being a part of that. Our process starts with discovery, learning about Diamondhead, understanding a vision of Diamondhead, engaging in design, and then moving into implementation. This is from a city planning point of view. We're engaged in a process that forms the basis for all the zoning code, lots of the development policies of the city, the programmatic aspects of the city. It's a very, very important process that we're engaged in revising the comprehensive plan. We did discovery in June through August. We're kind of in this step right now, and we're with you tonight, September 28th. We're in this kind of direction design phase, and then we'll be moving into final provisions later on. Now, here's the fun part. I'm a kind of a history guy, and you have a really interesting history in your community, and I'm sure many of you know it way better than I've come to know it in just a few months. But this is the original plan of Diamondhead right here. This is the interstate exit at Interstate 10, about 1970. This is your 50th anniversary as a community, not as a city, but as a community. And I was fortunate enough to get my hands on some of the old annual reports of the Diamondhead Corporation, later the Purcell Group. And these are some of the early images of Diamondhead as it was developed. My teammates wanted me to point out, look, that's the marsh. That was what was planned for the marsh out on the waterfront all those years ago. Obviously, that couldn't happen now. Interesting thing, your Molokai Village and some of the other older condo units were built over in Mobile, trucked in on a barge up the river, hauled over to their site, and assembled. It's a very innovative, interesting kind of thing that these folks were engaged in all those years ago. That's just a picture of the condo factory and the barge, and then they're still there today. Incidentally, as a part of the planning process, the National Register of Historic Places considers a place or a structure potentially of historic value if it's 50 years old or older. So that's a whole other aspect of Diamondhead's future to think about. How does that play a role in the future of Diamondhead? So I'm still looking for someone to tell me where the stables are. But there's one point there with Diamondhead Stables. I'll come to you, yes. I will get that conversation going shortly. And there is some more of early marketing coming into the entrance, the thing that's no longer there on top of the POA Center over there. Milestones in Diamondhead's history. My point is you really have a significant history, a young place, very young city, but very significant in a lot of ways. Master planned, innovative in the way they were approaching, trying to create the community, all of these things. So where is Diamondhead headed in the future? You created a plan in 2012. That's when you became an official municipality. And that plan set the basis for the early zoning, or the current zoning code and other development rules, as well as some of the other direction of the city. That's what we're updating, the 2012 plan. We're trying to take this the next step into another generation plan. Now, Diamondhead, since 2010, 2012, has grown. It's grown significantly. The numbers will show a 58% population growth since the year 2000. 51 is the median age in the community. It's a little older than the surrounding communities. Significant household income, very low poverty rate, a relatively small household size. Somewhat of an aging population, and the largest growth in age cohorts are projected in 65 to 74 ages, and the young folks are projected to increase in the future. It's a little bit of our statistics show, it's a little bit of we encountered this thought that Diamondhead was getting younger, but we don't necessarily see that in the statistics that we're looking at. Lots of opportunity in Diamondhead for business, particularly retail. Some of you engaged in a survey which showed all the retail opportunities that you would like to see in Diamondhead, and that opportunity is out there. We're quantifying that. $135 million leaves Diamondhead and is spent in other communities around, rather, because it's not spent here. That translates into retail demand of stores, of buildings, and how would those types of things be constructed. This is an existing land use map of Diamondhead. Everything in yellow is a single-family home. And of course, you see the golf courses in green and the waterfront down here. And here's what we're calling Diamondhead downtown, right at the interstate intersection. Environmentally, there's two major regions in Diamondhead. You've got all of this highly sensitive marine environment wrapping around the edge of the city. And then you've what essentially are coastal uplands here, two different environments that we have to take into consideration when we're looking at Diamondhead. Let's see. So what I wanted to do was take the existing land use today. This is hot off the press, the way the land is used, and then fade in the original vision of Diamondhead on top of it. Virtually everything is built as envisioned, with the exception of the waterfront. Mostly that's it. Most everything else is built as envisioned. You will also note a blank square or a blank spot around the interstate exit. That's because the interstate exit was not included in the master plan. And so it was sort of left to folks' imagination as to how it would develop. And consequently, it's developed in a less planned way than Diamondhead itself did. Built according to plan all around here, not built according to any kind of master plan downtown. That'll be one of our discussions in a moment. Highly planned Diamondhead is beautiful. You got a beautiful community. You have some contrasting places and maybe not so much. And so this is a planning factor that we'll be looking at tonight. In terms of the future of Diamondhead, there are only about 450 acres left of unconstrained, meaning not in the floodplain, not in a wetland, just land where you can go build on. There's about 450 acres of that land left. And if you run the numbers, we could say that Diamondhead might accommodate 2,000, 2,500 more people in its current configuration or current borders. In my world, that's essentially built out. You're essentially a built-out community. There are some opportunities, and you have some subdivisions here and there, and there's some nooks and crannies, and there's some vacant lots. But for the most part, Diamondhead is built out. That map, by the way, all the black dots are the vacant lands, and this is all flood-constrained vacant land in Aqua there. Mobility, I'm not going to dwell on it. The mobility system is pretty simple. You got a loop around town, and one way in on one or two doors, basically, a front door and a back door. I think y'all call it the back door. That's it. Traffic volumes are relatively light. This is a Strava map. The red line indicates where people are walking. The blue line, I think, is actually walking and biking. So you see lots of activity going on. Our survey shows that the community is very, very active as walkers. And I totally loved the kayak. I don't think it was a race, the kayak event. So I swiped some pictures off of Facebook real quick and threw them up there. These two ladies here are having a good time. I don't know who they are, but that hat is interesting. Oh, she's there. Okay, wonderful. Now, our input structure, let's get to where we're going tonight. Our input structure included focus groups. We have an advisory group that's looking at it. The Planning Commission's looking at it. The City Council is and will be looking at it. But right here, we're at the community input level. Very, very important what we're doing. We did a general meeting last time. Some of you participated on the phone with this little exercise, which was very interesting to us. Thank you for indulging us in a different way of doing things. I'll run through quickly. Who took the survey on the web? Did anybody take the? Several. Okay, so you'll want to see the results. We've had over 320 some odd people participate in that survey. For a town of 9,000, 8,500 people, that's really a lot, and we're happy to have more participate. What would you say is the Diamondhead's? How would you think the community, those 300 people, rated quality of life in Diamondhead? Good. Give me a number 1 to 10. 8, 9, 6, 897. That was the average of all those 300 people. It was 8.37. It's really interesting. You break it down by age. The younger folks had a little lower ranking, and the older folks had a lot higher ranking on the quality of life. Not somewhat higher ranking. Interesting. High quality of life. Diamondhead you describe as safe, beautiful. By the way, the full results are on the project website. You can pick them up, look at them. They're there for you. This is just a summary. Safe, beautiful, friendly, amenities, quiet, nice. People really enjoy describing Diamondhead. What are the greatest assets are your amenities and recreational facilities, followed by the waterfront, followed by the marsh and the river, bike ped paths. The Hawaiian-themed architecture, which we think is an important element, we got to figure out how to weave that in. It's still an asset, but it was the least of the assets listed. Is there an asset not listed? That's some of the things that you popped in, free answer. Top 5 community concerns ranked are the long-term future of the POA, amenities. And you'll see that comment pop up over and over. Improvement of the commercial district, concern for the natural environment. Expansion of the bike trails, and some of the traffic issues were lower than I expected, but they were still, they were less of a concern, I should say, than these other ones. Okay? We did have a free and open question. There were lots of comments about governance, POA, cooperation, and all the duplication, all the words I'm sure you've been discussing, need for cooperation, status of the amenities, and so forth. Cost. What needs to happen in Diamondhead? There was interest in improving the way the rules are written for new development so that it generates more attractive development, more the kinds of establishments that you're looking for in terms of business, those kinds of things. So you can see that, updating codes to make sure all that happens. Growth was the least. Promoting the creation of new neighborhoods was the least of the concerns that came out of that survey. What type of lodging or housing is needed in Diamondhead? Hotel is top of the list. And then senior housing. Big interest in senior housing as folks age. And then you go down the line from there. Most routine shopping occurs in, by the way, this is 50-50. Half the folks are leaving to do their routine shopping, half are doing it here. It's a little open-ended question. The terms aren't fully defined, but this is where people go. More folks go to Waveland and Gulfport than the other places on the list there. Just a couple more and we're done. What type of retail, family-friendly dining, a coffee shop. Whoever puts in the coffee shop, if they get that right, they're going to hit a big home run here in Diamondhead because folks want that coffee shop. And you see on down the list here, all of these things round out a community. They provide you with the things you need close by. And this is a whole other list of other things. Somebody want a place to eat fish and chips there. So, all right, types of activities. We talked about what are folks doing in terms of exercise and that sort of thing, or leisure activities. A lot of people walking and jogging around Diamondhead. That's a real asset to this community. I will end it here, and then we're going to break out, take a question, then we'll break out into our exercise. I think I went about 5 minutes over on that. What all this leads us to that I've rushed through are principles for thinking about Diamondhead's future. So we have to operate from a set of principles. What are we trying to do in Diamondhead? And so this input we have gelled into 4 primary principles for Diamondhead. The first being preserving Diamondhead. And that means honoring its unique heritage, and you have a very, very unique history, honoring that, figuring out what it means for the future. Preserving the natural environment, it's high on the list of your assets and what you're concerned about. And you see there, maintaining the ongoing integrity of Diamondhead's amenities and green space. Preserving Diamondhead, what we have, what you love about the community. Secondly, there is an element of growing Diamondhead. There's interest in a mixed-use, walkable downtown, those shops that we talked about. How do you grow that? There's interest in that senior housing. You know, that's got to go somewhere. Hotel, sensitive waterfront development. If the community's built out, is there going to be enlargement of the boundary to accommodate more land to grow the community that way? Diversified house choices, and there's always an issue on the Gulf Coast of being resilient, prepared for hurricanes and hazards of that sort. And then the last two I missed, so I duplicated the slide. I'll have to verbally tell you the last two. The third one is connecting Diamondhead. That means on its with its connection of bikeways and greenways and routes. Another way in and out of Diamondhead, is that feasible? Connecting all that walking, biking, blueways, etc. Very, very important. Connecting the downtown to the waterfront, connecting old Diamondhead to the waterfront so you can get there without having to get in your car to go over there. Those kinds of connections. Bert will be talking about that. Then the last one, we're going to do our exercise, I promise, is celebrating Diamondhead. How is Diamondhead to be celebrated? And when we say that, when you arrive in Diamondhead, what do you see? Is there an entry statement that, you know, I have arrived in Diamondhead, or I've arrived in another place along the interstate? You know, how do we deal with that? Promoting, just like that kayak thing I just showed, those kinds of community events. How do we celebrate what's good about Diamondhead? And a lot of that gets into marketing and branding and how you promote those sorts of things. Now, I'm done. And we want to hear now the conversations and initiate the conversations. So we're going into this stand-up session number 1, and let me tell you how this works. There are 5 areas. You'll only get to pick 2 of them. If you come back to the next meeting, you can do 2 more. So the 5 areas are potential expansion. We talked about growing borders of the town. So there's going to be a little discussion over there about that. What should occur? Where should it occur? Infill and connectivity. That means as people build in Old Diamondhead and as the community is connected, what are the ideas that surround that? What are the concerns, cautions of the ideas? So that's right there. You can see it on the top of his board. Waterfront, that is south of I-10. What about the waterfront? How does it get rebuilt? What needs to be over there? How does it connect to downtown? That's the third one. And we mentioned in downtown, it's right there. And when we say downtown, we mean right there as you come off the interstate. And then finally, there's this high interest in the environment, the natural environment, the blueways. So we called it coastal stewardship, but it means environmental concerns and cares about the community. There's 5 groups. Now, we want to do them in a way where there's no more than about 10 people gathered up in any one group. That's why we limited the number. So if you get everybody rushes over to the waterfront, you need to spread out. And we just ask you the honor system on that. But these fine people will facilitate that conversation. You can stand there silently and listen, or you can contribute, and hopefully you'll do a little of both as we talk about it. We're going to do that for 20 minutes. I'll call it, and then you can switch and go to another group. And then we'll report out. You're going to hear what the conversations were and go home. Now, did I make it too complicated? This is new ground for us. We haven't ever done it this way before. Everybody knows what they're doing. potential expansion, infill, connectivity, waterfront, downtown environment. Okay? Very gently, don't trip over one another. Start your conversations, and I'll call it time in about 15 or 20 minutes. Yes. Is there a camera to look into? So for those of you who are watching online, we really appreciate your participation. You can go to the project website at envisiondiamondhead2040.com, and there will be a link on the front page which says online participation. Click that link, and you can engage in the conversation, obviously not directly with these folks, but you can provide the same input into the same subjects that the folks in the room are doing now. And I will be back to the time. Okay, I will be back in about 5:50, 5:55. No, hold on. Yeah, 6:15. This session will end, and you can hear the report out as they report back out to the group. I hope that makes sense. Go to envision2040.com, envisiondiamondhead2040.com. Yeah. All right, you got about 5 more minutes. You got 5 minutes at that. let me ask you to make your final points, and then I'm going to draw this one to a conclusion and ask you to go to another group. So, all right, let's stop. Dismiss your group. Go to your next most interested, the group that you're most interested in. Change your group. Yes, sir. All right, let's change groups. You got 15 more minutes in this next group. Yes, sir. Did everybody change groups? So go, start your new conversation. All right, 5 minutes, and then we're going to report out. So 5 minutes. Okay, get your last points in. We're going to report out in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. All right, after you get your last points in, make your way, find you a seat, and we're going to hear what the various discussions were, at least summarize them. So, time to break it up. Find a seat. Sure. I don't know where they are. All right. Let me call you back together in the interest of time. We promised we'd get you out by 6:30, and we're going to honor that promise. Very, very impressive. All right, let me have your attention. Do I have everyone's attention? Thank y'all for being so eager to participate. No one protested walking to the groups, and nobody got upset with me, so that's always, I put that in the win column for me. But the night's not over yet, so maybe I shouldn't speak too soon. What we're going to do is report out just a high-level summary of kind of the nature of the conversation from each of our facilitators. Thank y'all for facilitating the conversations, and then maybe have any kind of little brief discussion at the end. I promise we'll be out by 6:30. So for the folks that are watching online, I gave instructions earlier. You can go to the project website at envisiondiamondhead2040.com, and there'll be a link to an exercise, an online exercise, and you can give input into the same subjects that the people on site here have been conversing with the facilitators about. So that link is there, and we look forward to online participants joining in with us. So I'm going to start. Mike, what is your password on this computer?
Let's just go ahead and live stream it. You know what the EGJ? Almost got it.
So while he's pulling back up, I was just going to pull a map up yet to have something on the screen. I'm going to start out with kind of the original. No, I changed my mind. I'm going to start out with environment. So we operate in an environmental context. Everything you do in Diamondhead rests on the natural environment. So we're going to start off with coastal stewardship and then work our way around from there. And there's a camera, so you'll want to step out here so that the camera can see you right in this area.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Let me turn this off. So the groups that gathered over here mentioned a lot of things that they love and some concerns. So generally,
Real close to the mouth.
the things that, things,
Take your mask off. There you go.
so the things that they love and they want to protect around the coastal stewardship area included preserving the marsh and preserving a nature trail up along Rotten Bayou. And also more access. They want more access to the bayou and more nature trails in general in the backwater area of the bayou and near the river. They are concerned about siltation in the south side canals and concerned about duck hunting in the marsh, which is inside the city limits. There is an informal trail that exists. Apparently there's an abandoned road that's near the airport, and it's being used as an informal trail, and some felt like that would be a really good formal trail, something to formalize. In terms of general environmental issues, they're concerned about cutting down trees and losing more wildlife habitat. They want to keep the green, which is associated with cutting down the trees as well as just green space. Stormwater runoff is a problem that they would like to see resolved, perhaps with a citywide drainage plan. More wildlife corridor protection and creation. Stormwater codes need a lot of work. Let's see, and the mosquito spraying was a concern because of its impact on the insects and therefore the impacts on the potential birding opportunities, and as well as the monarch butterflies. I believe that that's a pretty good, pond stewardship and just preserving wildlife in general.
Excellent. Thank you for the inputs on that overview of the environment. I'm going to move it to the infield because we're going to move to the old community of Diamondhead now and just hear kind of a high-level summary of what you discussed here.
Right. Had really good input at our table. So we covered infill and connectivity together. A lot of the infill concerns and ideas that came in, we talked about the undeveloped land. And really there's a lot of, kind of support to keep undeveloped land undeveloped, especially the higher wooded areas. Talking about the potential impacts to stormwater, increased runoff, really making sure that new development also contains walkable streets, has street lighting, and is designed so that it does not impact neighborhoods and streets and creeks downstream. A lot of concern for having a really robust stormwater ordinance and how that could really benefit the existing neighborhoods. And really, talking about beefing up the commercial infill and making it more walkable. There was a comment that it's very auto-centric, a lot of parking lots, a lot of driveways, but not many places to walk, and a lot of kind of division between the commercial area and the neighborhoods. So with connectivity, people were saying that there's a lot of parking on the bike path currently, and that happens at night as well, so if you're walking or running. Also, the lighting is not good, so it doesn't feel like it's a safe experience if you go jogging in the morning. Having better golf cart access. Once again, there's a really big disconnect between the commercial areas and the neighborhoods. The need for sidewalks, connecting the trails together, and really kind of getting the word out about the trails so that people can use those. A big discussion about interstate traffic noise, and that was kind of a new one to me. I think MDOT had a report that it was the loudest at this point on I-10, and in the neighborhoods especially near that, so there was a great idea. MDOT had talked about potentially a wall. It's really expensive, maybe wouldn't happen, but there was an idea of having a berm instead. That could be used, maybe a landscape berm that could be used to reduce the noise impact of the interstate, and then combining that with a trail that could follow that MDOT right-of-way between the neighborhood, between the recreation center on the southeast corner and the downtown. So some good ideas that came out of that, and those are the main input points.
Excellent input points. So I'm doing this very inefficiently. I'm going to go all the way across the room because we're going to go downtown now and deal with downtown comments in 3 minutes.
Thank you, Bob. Or less.
So with unanimity, the downtown district was very, very unpopular. It was described as shabby, not cohesive, poor vehicular circulation, no trees or landscaping, no storefronts, cheesy architecture, a lack of architectural design altogether. In any redevelopment or new buildings, it was popular that the Hawaiian-themed architecture would reoccur throughout, and that traffic just currently turning into the downtown is so bad that intersection that a couple of folks suggested a roundabout there for accessibility, as it's currently a deterrent. We talked a lot about the asphalt and these big blocky buildings and how ubiquitous they were and how 70s they were, and presented a plan of some smaller scale buildings and a more pedestrian friendly solution that would actually work with the buildings that we have. We went over the Linfield Hunter plan, which I think some folks hadn't seen before, which proposes a very large pretty significant mixed-use downtown area. And our discussion was, if we happen to build that plan, what's going to happen to their existing downtown? And so the existing infrastructure, existing road opportunity, it made this existing downtown perhaps a realistic candidate for redevelopment. And it seemed as though this plan, from a pedestrian point of view, was well received in what we're proposing. Overall, the lack of sense of place was, and the lack of a destination of a place that you want to go, get out of your car and walk around, was, I think, the number one result. Thank you.
Okay. And then two more. We'll go from downtown to the waterfront. And Oliver's back here at the waterfront to summarize for us.
Thank you, Bob. Both groups that I had for the waterfront were, well, at least the first group, the big issue was the why redevelopment has not occurred on the waterfront. And it was said that it was because of the potential for a casino to come in on the property that is on the west side behind La Flauta, and that has been a detriment to people rebuilding along the waterfront, and also another potential for a casino on the opposite side of the boulevard there. They felt very strongly that the casino should not go there, and that it would be a detriment to the residents that do live there and their property values, and bring some unwanted activities at night. Let's see. They also said that the waterfront property that the casino group owns, they'd like to see that go to townhomes and not casino-related uses. There was a desire for more commercial at the waterfront near the marina. And also they noted that there's been an increase in sales of the lots, of the residential lots along the waterfront in the past 12 to 24 months. And I've got one other comment about there needs to be more public open space at the waterfront. Oh, yes, sorry. But definitely a boutique hotel was wanted. And then there was one comment that said, do not rebuild the homes on the waterfront because another hurricane's going to come and wipe them out.
All right, a lot of challenges on the waterfront. Beautiful area, a lot of challenges. The last group was Allison's, and this is potential expansion. So,
Thank you. All right, so in thinking through where and how Diamondhead could potentially expand, the most logical area, of course, is to the east in Harrison County, and right out the gate, there's a lot of concerns about kind of what that looks like administratively with a community city like Diamondhead spanning two governmental jurisdictions. There's a general acknowledgement that the residences, or the commercial businesses that are on the northeast side of Diamondhead are being heavily utilized by the residents here, but of course the county and the city are not getting the tax benefits of those businesses. And so there's definitely an interest, there's certainly a need to maybe expand that hub of activity, and the services are there right at the edge of the Diamondhead community to be able to extend to those businesses, but there's a recognition that it's a bit of a race with Harrison County utility that's coming up Kill DeLille Road right now, and that certainly may get to that area before this potential expansion could ever be really thought through. Other issues that came up in our discussion, obviously Kill DeLille Road is a little bit on the narrow side with some pretty big ditches on either side, and so improvements to that infrastructure would be needed. Certainly if it were going to become an entrance, a more prominent entrance to the community. There were some recognition of needs, a gas station on or near that entrance. It's a good location potentially for some senior housing or assisted living in the future, knowing that that type of development is going to require a larger footprint, and there's not really the acreage available right now within Diamondhead to provide that level of development. Someone brought up the need to just annex all the way to Kildalil Road and maybe develop a frontage road that expands the commercial from one interchange to the Kildalil interchange, and that there's a lot of redevelopment or development potential in that open area between the boundary of Diamondhead and Kildalil. And kind of towards the end of our second conversation, the recognition that, really right now with such limited infill development potential within Diamondhead proper, there's been some recent changes to setbacks in, I believe, the R3 zoning district, where they've been reduced from 10 feet to 5 feet, and that's really increased the development densities, and there's some concern about that, not only from a character standpoint, density standpoint, but also from the environmental standpoint, that you're increasing impervious surface on these lots, which results in challenges with stormwater runoff and just the issues that you all see related to water within the community. So obviously with a limited developable footprint, you're gonna be faced with not a lot of options unless you look at potential expansion down the road.
All right, so thanks to the team for doing that, and thank you all for engaging in those conversations. Let's conclude this way. You've given us lots of information. You've done it on multiple occasions. We really appreciate your attention tonight. Many of you have done this, filled out the survey. Of course, we had our event the very first part of August, so we've received, and we begin to really get a sense now of the issues and where people want to head and some of the opportunities that are there and some of the challenges that have to be met and overcome. So we're ready to plan is what we're ready to do. We have one more. By the way, several people asked me, the meeting after this is a repeat of the same thing. It's not anything different. We wanted to make sure there was plenty of availability, so it's just a repeat. You're welcome to come back to it because there's going to be room if you want to, but it is a repeat. Now, I'm going to tell you what we'll do Thursday night and how we'll conclude. This is what we call planning week, how we're going to conclude planning week, and I'm going to tell you what the next steps are. But before I do, are there any burning comments that anyone has to say? Is everything okay with the summaries? Yes, ma'am.
Can I say just one thing before I leave?
Yes.
This place is dotted with Native American mountains.
Thank
They
you.
are protected historically.
Yes.
And must be very careful about developing those because they are highly prized.
Thank you for that, and we will note that, and we will survey the archaeological studies or whatever's there for us on that. Thank you. And by the way, I'm sorry, tell me your name.
I am CJ.
CJ, she's told me that 3 times. Miss CJ actually rode the horses at the Diamondhead stables. So, yes, that was, and I know where they are now, too. So, thank you. Really, thank you. Yes, sir.
I just have a question. If you popped your mama on the lady over here was talking about the expansion part. Properties that are in the back, the commercial properties. When you get into police protection and fire protection, they don't pay that fee that we pay, or do they? And I'm sure the fire department would go back there if they had a problem. So maybe the point of annexing into that would make a little more sense. I don't know. But it just crossed my mind.
Yeah,
They're paying for
you,
it.
right.
They get benefits for it? Sure.
You raise a good question that I can't answer now, but thank you for it, and we record it. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other thing to put on the table? All right, what we're going to do Thursday night is this. We're working all week here, maybe late into the evening some nights, but we're going to develop a framework plan that will be presented Thursday night at 6 p.m., I believe. You have to register just like you did. Some of you probably already have. But if you want to come back and see what are these people doing. Now, we've been talking to them. Now, let's see what you got. So we're going to show you. We're going to reflect back to you Envision Diamondhead 2040, at least as in a framework or conceptual basis that accounts for all the things you've been discussing tonight. We invite you back. We want you back Thursday night at 6 p.m. Mike, you want to close the meeting?
May I ask, will that meeting also be live streamed?
I believe it will, yes, ma'am.
I'll just use this one. I think it's a little better. Hey, first of all, thank y'all for taking time out of your busy schedules. Do appreciate it. I know it takes away from some of your families or just your dinner time. But the city council wants your input. This is the opportunity. So use the online if you can't be here in person. Take the surveys. Give us the feedback. These guys are professional. They've traveled from all over the country to be here for this week. And we are working throughout this entire year to develop a new comprehensive plan. So please be part of it. We appreciate you for being here. Thank you.